do think I was born like this. Like, I don't think there was something that happened that made me like this. Because this was always just how I was.
As you can already tell, in this video we'll be discussing the new Jeffrey Dahmer series that came out recently on Netflix and caused quite the public upheaval across the social media, as well as having Netflix to deal with some repercussions already. But one thing I'd like to highlight before we get into it is that I have actually opted out from watching this show mainly because I felt like it was a story that was told too many times already, that we have all the information and there is nothing new to add to the narrative, which frankly was kind of my reaction before the whole backlash has risen to the surface regarding the series. It's not just a 2-hour film, it's a whole whopping package of 10 episodes that last over 45 minutes. This truly didn't pique any interest whatsoever or made me feel like there will be some sort of value to be added to the existing case of Jeffrey Dahmer by watching it. It's been made for entertainment purposes, which at the first glance might seem okay until we take into consideration of how Netflix decided to approach the making of the series when it came to consulting and asking the permission of the families affected by the case, or lack thereof if we're being more precise. I'd like to also highlight that the majority of the critique I'm bringing up, if not entirely in fact, is about the content. So when this show is critiqued, we're not talking about the visuals, how bad or good the actors have performed. It's really just about the content itself and how it is portrayed. In fact, people are saying that visually and in terms of camera work, the content was really well made. It was visually appealing and consisted of good acting. So when people critique this, it's not about the quality of the work as much as the focus that is put onto this body of work. But now let's get back to the controversial side of the show and the main causes of it all. There will be always some sort of artistic license used when adapting a complex, real crime narrative into a film or television series, regarding of whether it claims to be an authentic retelling or is merely inspired by true events. While the difference between reality and the screen are frequently just slight, for example having one fictionalized detective represent several police officers, others can materially mislead events. For example, the journalist who first broke the Dahmer story, Anne Schwartz. She has criticized the most current Dahmer Netflix series as not constructive representation. Schwartz criticized the series' caricatured portrayal of law enforcement in an interview with The Independent. She also attacked crucial plot points such as the fact that Glenda Cleveland, a key witness, lived next door to Dahmer rather than in the building next door. Other fictionalized accounts of actual crimes have gone considerably further, embellishing the facts with sensationalistic and even outright supernatural components. Schwartz also criticized the show for its inaccurate description of the scent coming from Dahmer's apartment. She said, "I was a crime reporter for 5 years, so I know what it smells like when you walk into a building with a dead body or decomposing body." Recounting the moment she stepped into Dahmer's real apartment building as a reporter back in 1991. She then continues, "This was not that. This was a very chemical smell." In the series, Dahmer, played by Peters, explains countless times that the bad smell that people often complained about was due to bad meat. It's implied that the unbearable smell was due to the decomposing bodies of the victims in his apartment. Crime victims and their loved ones are usually enraged and re-traumatized when their true life experiences are used as an entertainment for the general public. Given that legal protections of reputation, such as claims in defamation, don't apply if the person defamed is deceased, the relatives of homicide victims are especially disadvantaged when they come across false or disrespectful images of their loved ones. The Netflix documentary has enraged several of the relatives of Dahmer's victims who claim that they were never contacted before the show's broadcast. I find that wild. Without her knowledge or consent, Rita Alisbal, whose brother was killed by Dahmer, had her heartbreaking victim impact statement dramatized in the series. She wrote in an article for Insider that the series was harsh and thoughtless, adding that it was terrible that they're just making money off of this tragedy. She wrote, "I was never contacted about the show. I feel like Netflix should have asked if we mind or how we felt about making it. They didn't ask anything. They just did it." Isbell then added, "But I'm not money hungry, and that's what the show is about. Netflix trying to get paid." Also, a person who claims to be her cousin, Eric Perry, spoke out against the show on Twitter in a viral tweet that reads, "I'm not telling anyone what to watch. I know true crime media is huge right now, but if you're actually curious about the victims, my family, the Isbells, are pissed about this show." He continues, "It's re-traumatizing over and over again, and for what? How many movies, shows, documentaries do we need?" So the debate surrounding how and when to tell tragic stories will continue. But I personally think that Isbell's words are a true reminder that these stories are so much more than TV shows. Real people are affected by such projects. The topic of who profits from depictions of real-life crimes is crucial since major studios and streaming services make millions of dollars, while victims and their families frequently end up bearing the impact of the negative publicity. So we all know an increasingly well-documented phenomenon is the growth of online fandoms centered around real-life murders, which is probably related to true crime's growing pop culture influence. There has been an active criticism towards the Netflix series for casting Evan Peters as Jeffrey Dahmer, given his status as a well-known, how they say, teen heartthrob who rose to fame after starring in American Horror Story series. It's honestly alarming, to say the least, at how many fan videos have been already made of his depiction of Dahmer. And you know what kind of fan videos I'm talking about. An additional Netflix film called Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil and Vile, which starred High School Musical star Zac Efron as a serial rapist and killer Ted Bundy, received similar criticism. And here's why. I have seen this movie, and I can absolutely confirm that in there, Ted Bundy is portrayed as hot, charming, and romanticized as ever. This film succumbs to the same easy stereotype that the press did during his trial, marveling at how a well-spoken, decent-looking man could possibly do such heinous things. And of course, the film clearly doesn't intend to sympathize with Bundy, yet in making him the star, it cannot avoid doing so to an extent. Of course, there's nothing new about an unhealthy fixation with serial killers. For example, Jeffrey Dahmer received numerous encouraging letters and even marriage proposals while he was a prisoner, as well as Ted Bundy and so on. Some are concerned, meanwhile, that the current practice of portraying attractive celebrities as serial killers may have unintended consequences. According to a writer in Odyssey, younger, naive people today risk empathizing. Jesus Christ, why can I not ever pronounce these words? Empathizing with and falling for those who are actually dangerous. Admiration and even cult-like following of serial killers is weird and disgusting, to say the least. Productions should be conscious of this, and when they take on the stories of serial killers, they need to show the human impact. Frankly, I doubt that I'll be watching this at any given point because, aside from all these aspects, which I think the biggest one is the family's reaction, and them publicly saying that it was re-traumatizing and so on, and of course there are also all these smaller important aspects which just make it enough for me. Anyway, let me know in the comments down below of your insight on the show and the whole topic of this video. And if you want to see more videos like this, then make sure to subscribe. And if you want to see more videos like this, then make sure to hit that like button. this is it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.